The Seoul skyline glittered through floor-to-ceiling windows, 1,000 lights painting the darkness in shades of gold and silver. Alina Mensa lay against silk sheets that whispered against her trembling skin, her heart hammering so loudly she was certain he could hear it. Jiwon Kong stood beside the bed, his dark eyes holding hers with an intensity that made her breath catch. His shirt was already unbuttoned, revealing the lean muscle beneath, but he made no move to rush. Instead, he reached out slowly, his fingertips grazing her cheek with unexpected tenderness. "Are you certain?" His voice was velvet and smoke, the same voice that commanded empires and inspired fear across Seoul's underground. She nodded, though her fingers clutched the sheets. "Yes, I want this. I want you." He leaned down, his lips brushing her forehead, then her temple, trailing down to her jaw. When he finally kissed her mouth, it was gentle, achingly gentle. His hands moved to the buttons of her silk blouse, and she felt herself tremble beneath his touch. "It hurts," she whispered as he drew closer, her voice breaking with vulnerability. "This is my first time." Jiwon froze. His eyes searched hers, and she saw something shift in those obsidian depths, something raw and protective. "Then we stop, right now." "No," she said quickly, her hand reaching up to touch his face. "I trust you. I needed you to know." He caught her hand, pressed a kiss to her palm. "Then I will be gentle with you, Alina. I promise." Slowly, reverently, he continued. Every touch was deliberate, every whispered word a promise. The city lights painted shadows across his face as he held her gaze, never looking away, letting her see the man beneath the monster everyone else feared. When she gasped, he stilled. When she trembled, he soothed. And when tears slipped down her cheeks, not from pain, but from the overwhelming feeling of finally being cherished, he kissed them away. This wasn't just intimacy. This was her reclaiming everything that had been stolen from her. Her worth, her beauty, her right to be loved exactly as she was. But 6 months ago, she never imagined she'd be here, in the arms of Korea's most dangerous man, after the cruelest betrayal of her life. A betrayal so devastating it had shattered her into pieces. And before we continue with how this powerful man came to hold her broken heart, let me ask you something. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted completely? Drop a like if you're ready for this emotional journey, and comment where you're watching from, because what happens next, you won't believe it. 6 months earlier, Alina Mensa had learned early that money couldn't buy the things she wanted most. At 22, she lived in a luxury penthouse in Gangnam, the kind with marble floors, imported furniture, and a view that made visitors gasp. Her parents, successful business moguls, had relocated to Seoul 3 years ago, building an empire that stretched across shipping and real estate. They traveled constantly, Shanghai one week, Singapore the next, always chasing the next deal. They left Alina behind with credit cards that had no limits and a loneliness that had no cure. She stood before her bedroom mirror now, tugging at her oversized hoodie, hating the reflection that stared back. The bullying from her school days in Ghana still echoed in her mind, the cruel laughter, the whispered comments about her weight, the way people looked through her instead of at her. Seoul hadn't been much different. The girls at university were petite, polished, perfect. Alina felt like a giant among flowers, conspicuous and out of place. Her phone buzzed with a message from her mother. "Won't be home this month. Beijing expansion. Wire transferred additional funds. Love you." Alina didn't reply. What was there to say? She retreated to her room, her sanctuary, where 3 monitors glowed with streaming platforms and game interfaces. This was where Alina felt alive. Behind a screen, she could be anyone. Her avatar was fierce and fearless. Her voice, which people said was beautiful, drew thousands of followers to her gaming streams. "Ally Gamer is online." The chat exploded with greetings. She smiled, adjusting her headset. "Hey everyone, ready to conquer tonight?" Here, she wasn't the lonely fat girl. Here, she was a queen. The only person who bridged both worlds was Arya Bloom. They'd met during freshman orientation, and Arya had swept into Alina's life like sunshine, all golden hair, bright smiles, and effortless charm. Where Alina was shy, Arya was bold. Where Alina hesitated, Arya dove in headfirst. "You're buying another one?" Arya laughed, watching as Alina added a designer handbag to her shopping cart. They sat in a cafe in Myeongdong, surrounded by shopping bags. "Why not? I like it," Alina said, though she knew she'd probably never use it. "I wish I had your life," Arya sighed, stirring her latte. Money, freedom, everything. Alina felt the familiar pang. If only Arya knew how empty it all felt. Here, Alina said impulsively, pushing a small box across the table. I saw these earrings and thought of you. Arya's eyes widened. Diamonds caught the light. Alina, these are too expensive. Please, you're my best friend. You deserve beautiful things. Arya smiled, but something flickered in her eyes, something Alina missed. You're too generous, babe. Seriously. What Alina didn't see was how Arya's smile faded the moment she looked away, how Arya's fingers tightened around her coffee cup, how jealousy, green and venomous, had been growing roots in her heart for months. Alina had everything: money, kindness, a good heart. She could afford to be generous because she'd never known lack. She could afford to be sweet because no one depended on her beauty to survive. Arya, who'd clawed her way through life on charm and looks alone, resented every effortless dollar Alina spent. But she smiled. She always smiled. So, Arya said, leaning forward conspiratorially, any updates with that gamer boy? What's his name again? Alina's face lit up. Daehun. We talked until 4 a.m. last night. Still haven't met him? Not yet. I'm scared. Of what? Alina looked down at her hands. What if he doesn't like me? The real me? Arya reached across, squeezing her hand. Any guy would be lucky to have you, Alina. You're beautiful inside and out. The words sounded sincere. Alina believed them. She didn't notice how Arya's smile didn't reach her eyes. That night, alone in her room, Alina lay in bed scrolling through messages from Daehun. 3 months of conversations, 3 months of feeling seen, understood, wanted. Your laugh is my favorite sound, he'd written. I can't wait to meet you, he'd said. Her deepest fear whispered, what if he sees you and runs? Her secret desire whispered back, what if he stays? She wanted, more than anything, to be loved for who she truly was, not for her money, not despite her appearance, but completely, wholly, authentically. She fell asleep smiling, clutching her phone. She didn't know that across Seoul, Arya Bloom was lying awake too, staring at the diamonds around her neck, another gift from Alina, and feeling the bitter taste of envy grow stronger. Arya wanted what Alina had, and soon she would take it. Everything was about to change, and the girl who trusted too easily would learn the cruelest lesson of all. Not everyone who smiles at you wishes you well. It started innocently enough, a random match in an online game at 2 a.m. Alina had been streaming when a player named Date the Destroyer joined her team. His gameplay was impressive, but it was his voice in the chat that caught her attention. Smooth, playful, with a laugh that made her smile. Nice move, ally gamer, he'd said. You're better than half the pros I've seen. That first conversation lasted until sunrise. The second night, he was waiting for her online. Then the third. By the end of the first week, they'd exchanged private contact information. By the end of the first month, Alina was falling. Daehun Park made her feel like she'd never felt before. He listened when she talked about her loneliness. He laughed at her jokes. He stayed up until dawn just to hear her voice. I love how you see the world, he told her one night, his voice soft through her headphones. You're not like other girls. You're real. Alina's heart soared. You make me feel seen. Because you deserve to be seen, Alina. Every part of you. She started sending gifts. Small ones at first. A new headset when he mentioned his was broken. Then a gaming keyboard. Then a designer jacket he'd admired online. You don't have to do this, he'd protest, but she could hear the pleasure in his voice. I want to, she'd say. You make me happy. The gifts grew more expensive. She didn't think about the cost. Money had always been meaningless to her, just numbers in an account. But making Daehun happy, that felt like purpose. 3 months in, he asked the inevitable question, can I see you? Your face? Alina's stomach dropped. I'm not very photogenic. I don't care about that. I just want to see the girl behind the voice I've fallen for. Fallen for. The words made her dizzy with hope. She spent hours selecting a photo, then hours more editing it, slimming her face, smoothing her skin, adjusting angles until the girl in the picture looked like a prettier, thinner version of herself. When she sent it, she held her breath. You're beautiful, he replied. I knew you would be. 2 weeks later, he sent a voice message that changed everything. I think I'm falling in love with you, Alina. I want to meet you. In person. Let's make this real. Alina's hands trembled as she listened to it 3 times. Love. He'd said love. Yes, she typed back. I want that too. She told Arya the next day, unable to contain her joy. They were at their favorite bubble tea shop when Alina blurted it out. I'm meeting him. Daehun, we're going on a real date. Arya's smile froze for just a fraction of a second. That's amazing. Tell me everything about him. Alina gushed, every detail, every conversation, every gift. She showed Arya his social media profile, his photos. Arya studied the screen, her mind working. Daehun was handsome, sharp jawline, styled hair, the kind of face that opened doors. And he was gaming with Alina, accepting expensive gifts from her. He sounds perfect for you, Arya said, though her grip on her cup tightened. When's the date? Next Friday. But Arya, I'm terrified. What if I'm not? What does he expect? Don't be silly. Arya's voice dripped with false warmth. Let me help you get ready. We'll go shopping, make you look absolutely stunning. You do that? Of course. What are best friends for? That night, Arya lay in bed scrolling through Daehun's profile. On impulse, she sent him a DM. Hey, I'm Alina's best friend. She talks about you constantly. Just wanted to say hi and tell you you're lucky to have her. She attached a photo, one of her best, all golden hair and perfect angles. His reply came within minutes. She's mentioned you. You're even more beautiful than she said. Arya smiled in the darkness. The following Friday, she took Alina shopping in Gangnam. Boutique after boutique, she steered Alina toward the worst choices. Shapeless dresses, unflattering colors, styles that emphasized every insecurity. This one. Arya held up a mustard yellow dress with an awkward cut. I don't know, Alina frowned at her reflection. Trust me, it's so trendy right now, and the color makes your skin glow. It didn't. It made her look washed out and wider. You look gorgeous, Arya insisted. He's gonna die when he sees you. Alina, desperate to believe, bought it. That night, Arya sent Daehun another message. Coffee tomorrow? I have something to tell you about Alina. They met at a quiet cafe in Itaewon. Arya wore a tight black dress that hugged every curve. Daehun's eyes widened. You're Arya? And you're Daehun. She slid into the seat across from him, close enough that their knees touched. I need to be honest with you about something. About Alina? About the photo she sent you. Arya leaned forward. It wasn't real. She's bigger than that. A lot bigger. His face changed. But, Arya continued, her voice dropping to a whisper, she's also a lot richer than you probably realize. Her parents own half of Gangnam. Understanding dawned in his eyes. Arya smiled. I thought you should know what you're getting into. Their knees touched again. Neither pulled away. The cafe was everything Alina had imagined. Elegant, intimate, with soft jazz playing in the background. She'd arrived 20 minutes early, her heart thundering, palms sweating through her carefully applied hand cream. She tugged at the mustard dress, suddenly hating it. Then she saw him walk in. Daehun was even more handsome in person. Tall, perfectly styled, wearing a leather jacket that looked expensive. Her breath caught. His eyes scanned the cafe, landed on her, and for one devastating moment she saw it. Shock. Disappointment. His smile faltered before he caught himself. But then he was walking toward her, smile fixed in place. Alina? Hi, she whispered, standing awkwardly. He hugged her, but it was stiff, perfunctory. Nothing like the warmth in his voice during their calls. You look different, he said, sitting down. I know. The photo was... It's fine. His tone was too bright. So, this place is nice. You have good taste. The conversation limped along. Every joke she made landed flat. Every question he asked felt rehearsed. He checked his phone 3 times in the first hour, but he suggested a second date before they parted. I want to get to know you better, he said. Alina left feeling unsettled but hopeful. Maybe he just needed time to adjust. She didn't see him text Arya the moment she left. You were right, but the money's real. Let's talk. They met that night at a hotel bar in Gangnam. Arya wore red lipstick and a smile full of poison. So? She asked. So, Daehun said, moving closer, I'm going to need help separating her from her wallet. And what do I get? He traced a finger down her arm. What do you want? Arya's smile widened. Everything she has, starting with you. Their first kiss tasted like betrayal. Over the following weeks, Alina noticed changes but explained them away. Daehun was always busy when she suggested dates. Their phone calls grew shorter, but he still texted good morning, still called her beautiful. He suggested she buy him a new laptop. For work, he explained. I'd pay you back, but money's tight. She sent it the same day. That laptop ended up in Arya's apartment, where Daehun spent increasingly frequent nights. He'd arrive with gifts, a Cartier bracelet one night, a Dior bag the next, designer shoes that cost more than most people's rent. How can you afford all this? Arya asked, though she knew. Let's just say my girlfriend is very generous, he smirked, pulling her into bed. Arya wore every gift proudly, knowing that somewhere across Seoul, Alina had paid for each one without knowing it. The cruelty of it thrilled her. Alina, meanwhile, sensed something shifting. Arya was always unavailable now, late for their coffee dates, vague about her plans, distracted during conversations. One afternoon, Alina noticed a bracelet on Arya's wrist she'd never seen before. Delicate, expensive, with a charm that caught the light. That's beautiful, Alina said. Where'd you get it? Oh, this? Arya touched it casually. A gift from an admirer. An admirer? Who? Just someone I've been seeing. Nothing serious. Arya's smile was secretive. Not everyone broadcasts their relationships like some people. The comment stung, but Alina let it go. She called Daehun that night, needing reassurance. Can we meet this weekend? I feel like we haven't really spent time together. I'm swamped with work, he said. In the background, Alina thought she heard a woman's laugh. Maybe next week? Was someone there? Just the TV. Look, I have to go. Talk later? He hung up before she could respond. Alina stared at her phone, intuition screaming that something was wrong. But she silenced it. She loved him. She trusted Arya. They wouldn't hurt her. Would they? The next day, she saw Arya wearing a new designer coat, the same brand Alina had bought for Daehun 2 weeks ago. I love your coat, Alina said carefully. Arya didn't even flinch. Thanks. Got it on sale. That night, Alina couldn't sleep. She pulled up her banking app, scrolling through recent transactions. Thousands of dollars to various luxury brands. All purchases she'd made for Daehun. She opened Instagram, searching Daehun's recent posts. There, a photo from last week. His jacket hangs on a chair in the background, and reflected in a mirror, barely visible, a woman's silhouette. Blonde hair. Alina's hands started shaking. No, it couldn't be. She loved them both too much to even consider it. But deep down, in the place where truth lives before we're ready to face it, Alina knew. She just wasn't ready to see it yet. The knowledge would come soon enough. And when it did, it would destroy everything. The Lot department store gleamed with luxury at 11 p.m., its VIP section still open for elite clientele. Alina wandered through the designer menswear section, numb with routine, selecting a Gucci watch for Daehun's birthday next week. She'd stopped questioning why she always gave and never received. Love wasn't about balance, she told herself. It was about generosity. The lie was getting harder to believe. I'll take this one, she told the sales associate, handing over her black card without looking at the price. $6,000. It didn't matter. She was heading toward the exit, shopping bag in hand, when a man stepped into her path. He was tall, dressed in an immaculate black suit that screamed wealth and power. His face was striking, sharp cheekbones, dark eyes that seemed to see through everything, an expression of controlled ice. Something about him made the air feel colder. Excuse me, Alina said, moving to step around him. You should see this. His voice was deep, emotionless. He held out his phone. I don't. Trust me. You need to see this. Something in his tone made her stop, made her look. The video was playing already. Alina's breath caught. Arya's apartment. She recognized the cream-colored couch, the abstract art on the wall, and there, tangled together in an embrace that left no room for misinterpretation, Arya and Daehun. Kissing. Touching. His hands in her blonde hair. No, Alina whispered, but the video continued. Audio now, their voices clear. God, she's so stupid. Arya laughs, cruel and bright. Did you see that hideous dress she wore on your first date? I picked it out. She actually believed me when I said she looked good. Daehun's voice, the look on her face when she saw me, priceless. I almost felt bad. Please, Arya scoffed. You didn't feel anything except relief that her bank account is real. True. A pause. Then, did you see what she bought me yesterday? Limited edition Balenciaga. $3,000. She bought you that? Arya's voice pitched higher. Where is it? In your closet, baby. Everything's for you. She's just the ATM. Their laughter, synchronized, vicious, intimate, echoed through the phone's speakers. Alina's shopping bag slipped from her fingers. The crash of breaking glass, the watch, didn't register. Who are you? She asked the stranger, but her voice sounded far away. Someone who doesn't let innocent people get destroyed. He pocketed his phone. Your friend and your boyfriend have been using you for 3 months. Every gift you bought him, he gave to her. They've been together since before your first date. The floor tilted. That's not, they wouldn't. I have 6 weeks of surveillance footage. Would you like to see more? Why? The word came out broken. Why are you telling me this? His cold eyes softened almost imperceptibly. Because I know what betrayal looks like, and I don't let it happen in front of me without intervention. Alina's legs gave out. The stranger caught her before she hit the ground, his arms surprisingly gentle. Easy. Breathe. I need to. I have to. She pulled away from him, stumbling toward the exit. You're going to confront them, he stated. Not a question. Yes. Then I'm coming with you. She didn't argue. Couldn't. The world had narrowed to one burning need. The truth. Spoken to their faces. The drive to Arya's apartment was a blur. Alina's hands shook as she used her emergency key, the one Arya had given her in case anything happens to me. You're the only one I trust. Trust. The word tasted like poison now. She threw open the door. They were on the couch, half-dressed, Arya in lingerie Alina had bought her for Christmas, Daehun shirtless, his hands on Arya's waist. Both froze when they saw her. Alina, Arya started, but there was no panic in her voice, just annoyance at the interruption. How long? Alina's voice cracked. Daehun stood slowly, not even bothering to look ashamed. Does it matter? How long? Since before your first date, Arya said, stretching like a cat. I met him first, actually, before you introduced him to me. Well, show me his profile. But you're my best friend. Oh, sweetie. Arya's smile was venomous. I was never your friend. I was your charity case. The poor pretty girl you kept around to feel better about yourself. That's not. Did you really think he could love someone like you? Daehun's voice was casual, brutal. Look at yourself, Alina, then look at her. What did you expect? Each word was a knife. Every gift he gave me, Arya continued, standing now, moving closer, every bracelet at her, every bag, every piece of jewelry, you paid for it. Thank you, bestie. Your credit card has excellent taste. They laughed, both of them. The sound echoed in Alina's skull. Her chest tightened. Couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. The room spun. Alina, a new voice. Distant. She was falling down into darkness. Strong arms caught her before she hit the ground. The stranger from the mall. Get away from her. His voice cut through the room like a blade. Both of you, now. The last thing Alina saw before unconsciousness claimed her was the ceiling of Arya's apartment and the rain beginning to fall against the windows as if the sky itself was crying for her broken heart. Alina woke to silence and white light. Her eyes struggled to focus. Unfamiliar ceiling. Unfamiliar walls. Everything was minimalist, expensive, cold, white marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows revealing a Seoul skyline she didn't recognize. Modern furniture that looked like art installations. Where was she? She tried to sit up. Her head throbbed and her chest ached with a pain that had nothing to do with physical injury. The memories crashed back. Arya. Daehun. The laughter. The betrayal. A sob tore from her throat. You're awake. She jerked toward the voice. The stranger stood in the doorway, still in his black suit, though his jacket was gone now, sleeves rolled to his elbows. In daylight, she could see him more clearly. Late 20s, maybe 30, devastatingly handsome in a way that felt dangerous. Eyes like winter. Where am I? Her voice was hoarse. My home. You collapsed. I brought you here. You kidnapped me? I saved you. No emotion in his tone. There's a difference. Alina looked around again, the luxury, the isolation, the controlled perfection. Who are you? Jiwon Kang. The name meant nothing to her. Why did you help me? He moved into the room, setting a glass of water on the nightstand beside her. I don't let people break in my presence. It's distasteful. I don't understand. You don't need to. He turned to leave. Wait. She struggled to sit up fully. That video. How did you have it? Were you following me? Following them, he corrected. I was investigating your boyfriend for unrelated business. The betrayal was simply a byproduct I couldn't ignore. What kind of business? His smile was cold. The kind you don't ask about. He left before she could respond. For 3 days, Alina barely left the bedroom. She cried until she had no tears left, stared at the ceiling, and ignored the food Jiwon left outside her door. On the 4th day, he entered without knocking. Enough, he said simply. Excuse me? Endure it. Pain is inevitable. Drowning it is a choice. Anger flared in her chest. You don't know anything about what I'm feeling. Don't I? Something flickered in his cold eyes. 3 years ago, my sister was murdered, shot in the street like an animal while I was 2 blocks away, unable to reach her in time. I know exactly what it feels like when your world ends. Alina's breath caught. The difference, he continued, is that I got up. I endured. Pain makes you stronger, or it destroys you. Choose. He left her with that. Slowly, Alina emerged. She explored the penthouse, 30 floors up, isolated, perfect. Everything was expensive and impersonal except for one room, an office with photos on the wall. Jiwon and a young woman. She was beautiful, laughing in every picture, her arms around her brother's shoulders. Their resemblance was striking. Her name was Ji-yun. His voice came from behind her. Alina didn't turn. She looks happy. She was, until someone took that from her. Have you found who did it? Not yet, but I will. The promise in his voice was absolute. And when I do, they'll wish they'd never been born. For the first time, Alina understood. This man wasn't cold. He was frozen. Grief had turned him to ice, just like betrayal was doing to her. I should go, she said quietly. My parents are in Beijing, won't be back for 6 weeks. I checked. You had my people verify your situation. You have nowhere to go, no one to talk to, so stay. He met her eyes. Until you're ready. Why do you care? Because loneliness recognizes loneliness. He turned to leave, paused. And because no one should face their darkest hour alone. Days blurred together. Jiwon was distant but attentive. He cooked for her simple meals that tasted like home. He ordered new clothes when he noticed her wearing the same thing repeatedly. He never asked questions, never pushed, never demanded anything. But she noticed things. The way he watched her when he thought she wasn't looking, how his eyes softened when she smiled, even slightly, the careful distance he maintained as if afraid to come too close. He never touched her, never even came within arm's reach. Late one night, she found him on the balcony, staring at the city. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For not letting me break completely. He looked at her then, really looked, and for a moment, the ice cracked. You're stronger than you know, Alina Mensa. You just need time to remember that. Something passed between them, understanding, recognition, the beginning of something neither could name. But he stepped back, rebuilding his walls. Get some rest. She returned to her room but couldn't sleep. Because she'd seen it in his eyes, just for a moment, he was falling for her. And terrifyingly, impossibly, she was beginning to fall too. 2 months transformed everything. Alina joined a gym, not to change her body for anyone else, but to feel strong again. She started therapy, working through the betrayal with a counselor who taught her that her worth wasn't determined by who loved her. She volunteered at a youth charity Jiwon funded, helping teenagers who'd been bullied, sharing her story, watching them find their own strength. She was rebuilding herself, piece by piece. Jiwon watched from the shadows, never interfering, but always present. He drove her to therapy appointments without being asked, left books about self-worth on her nightstand, celebrated small victories with quiet nods of approval. They developed a rhythm, breakfast together in comfortable silence, evenings on the balcony discussing everything and nothing, late nights when neither could sleep, and they'd find each other in the living room. But he never crossed the invisible line between them, never touched her beyond accidental brushes of hands, never spoke of the way his eyes followed her across every room. One night, unable to sleep, Alina opened her laptop and typed his name into the search bar. The results froze her blood. Jiwonkong, Seoul's most dangerous underground king. Mafia boss controls half of Gangnam's black market. The Kang syndicate, fear and loyalty in equal measure. Articles on articles, photos of him entering courtrooms, always acquitted. Whispers of his power, his ruthlessness, his ability to make people disappear. She heard footsteps behind her, but didn't close the laptop. Found what you were looking for? His voice was carefully neutral. She turned to face him. Why didn't you tell me? Because you never asked. He leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, and because I knew this moment would come eventually. You're a criminal. I'm a businessman who operates outside the law. He met her eyes. Does that change things? It should. Alina stood, moving toward him. I should be terrified of you. Are you? She searched his face, the cold exterior, the grief beneath, the carefully controlled violence. No, something flickered in his expression. Why not? Because you saved me when no one else did. Because you've had 2 months to hurt me, and instead you've helped me heal. Because I see you, Jiwan, not the monster everyone else fears. You. I'm not the man you think I am. Then show me who you really are. The air between them crackled. He pushed off the doorframe, closing the distance until they were inches apart. If I show you, there's no going back. My world is dark, Alina. Dangerous. People I care about get hurt. I'm already hurt, and I'm still standing. His control shattered. He cupped her face in his hands and kissed her. Desperate, raw, months of restraint breaking at once. She responded with equal intensity, her hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. It was nothing like Daehun's kisses had been. This was real. Consuming. Two broken people finding wholeness in each other. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Alina pressed her forehead against his. I'm not ready for everything, but I want to be with you. She felt him tense, worried she'd said too much, pushed too far. But then he kissed her forehead with devastating gentleness. Then we wait, he said. However long you need. You do that? For you, I'd wait forever. Over the following weeks, their relationship evolved. He took her to private rooftops where they could see all of Seoul spread beneath them like a glittering promise. He taught her self-defense in his private gym, his hands guiding her movements, teaching her to be dangerous when necessary. Again, he'd command, and she'd throw the punch harder, better, until he smiled with pride. She learned about his world, the loyal men who'd die for him, the code of honor that governed everything, the delicate balance between violence and justice. It should have scared her. Instead, she understood. He was a judge and executioner in a world where the law couldn't reach. She also learned about his mission. 3 years of searching for his sister's killer. Dead ends and cold trails. The grief that drove him. I'll help you, she said one night. No, it's too dangerous. I'm not asking permission. I'm telling you, you help me survive. Let me help you find closure. He stared at her for a long moment, then nodded. Together, then. Their bond deepened in ways that transcended romance, shared grief, shared strength, shared determination to transform pain into power. Late one night, as they sat on the balcony watching the city sleep, Alina asked the question that had haunted her. Why me? Of all the people you could have helped, why did you choose me? Jiwan was quiet for so long, she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, because when I saw you collapse, I saw myself 3 years ago. Broken. Betrayed by a world that should have protected me. And I thought, if I could save you, maybe I could prove that not everyone breaks. That endurance is possible. And he looked at her, and his eyes were no longer ice. They were warm, alive. You proved me right. You endure, Alina, just like I do. And that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. She kissed him then, soft and slow, a promise of more to come. 3 months after that first kiss, Alina stood in Jiwan's penthouse bedroom as evening fell over Seoul. Candles flickered on every surface, casting dancing shadows. Soft jazz played from hidden speakers. The city glowed below them, 1,000 lights bearing witness. Jiwan stood by the window, watching her. We don't have to. I want to. She moved toward him, heart racing but certain. I'm ready. He closed the distance between them, his hands finding her face. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. He kissed her slowly, reverently, as if she were something precious. His hands moved to the zipper of her dress, pausing. Tell me if you want to stop. Anytime. I mean it. I trust you. The dress slipped from her shoulders, pooling at her feet. His breath caught. You're so beautiful. For the first time in her life, standing vulnerable before someone, Alina believed it. He lifted her gently, carrying her to the bed, silk sheets cool against her skin. He undressed slowly, never breaking eye contact, letting her see all of him, scars and strength and vulnerability. When he finally settled beside her, his touch was feather-light, tracing her collarbone, the curve of her waist, learning her with patient hands. It hurts, she whispered as he moved closer, trembling despite her certainty. He stopped immediately. We can stop right now. No. Her hand pressed against his chest, feeling his heartbeat race to match hers. I trust you. I needed you to know. His eyes softened impossibly. Then I will be gentle with you, I promise. And he was. Every movement is careful, controlled, punctuated by whispered reassurances. Breathe. You're doing perfectly. Tell me what you need. Her breath caught as initial discomfort gave way to something else. Connection, intimacy, the feeling of being completely seen and cherished. His name escaped her lips like a prayer. Alina, he breathed against her ear, and the sound of her name in his voice, reverent, broken, full of wonder, made tears slip down her cheeks. He noticed immediately and froze. Did I hurt you? No. She smiled through the tears. These are happy tears. For the first time in my life, I feel whole. You are beautiful, he said, kissing away each tear. Every part of you, and I will spend every day proving it until you believe it as deeply as I do. I believe it now, she whispered, because of you. Afterward, wrapped in his arms with the city lights painting patterns across their skin, she felt transformed, not because of the physical act, but because she'd reclaimed something those cruel people had stolen, her right to be loved exactly as she was. I love you, she confessed into the darkness. I've loved you since the moment you refused to break, he responded, his arms tightening around her. You're the strongest person I've ever met. She fell asleep, feeling safe, cherished, and powerful. 1 week later, Jiwon took Alina to Mingles, Seoul's most exclusive restaurant, where reservations required months of waiting and connections most people didn't have. Alina wore a midnight blue designer dress that hugged every curve, her hair styled elegantly, confidence radiating from every pore. She'd transformed not into someone else, but into the fullest version of herself. They were seated at the best table when she saw them. Daehoon and Arya, dressed expensively in clothes probably bought with the last of the money they'd stolen from her, sitting across the restaurant. Their faces when they noticed her, shock, disbelief, something like fear. Is that Alina? Arya's voice carried across the quiet restaurant. Jiwon's hand covered hers on the table. Say the word and we leave. No. Alina's voice was steady. I want them to see. Daehoon was staring openly now, his face pale. Arya's perfectly made-up features twisted with something ugly, jealousy, hatred, recognition that Alina had won. Jiwon raised his hand slightly. From the shadows, 4 men in black suits materialized, his security, always present, usually invisible. The restaurant fell silent. The men moved toward Daehoon and Arya's table. Within seconds, both were being escorted firmly but undeniably to stand before Jiwon and Alina's table. Kneel. Jiwon's voice was arctic. What? We're not. Daehoon started. Kneel. This time, it was a command that allowed no argument. 2 of the security guards pressed down on their shoulders. Both collapsed to their knees. Every diner watched. Some recognized Jiwon. Fear rippled through the restaurant. Apologize, Jiwon commanded. Alina, please. Arya's voice cracked. We didn't mean... You meant every word. Alina's voice was calm, powerful. You used me, humiliated me, tried to break me. We're sorry. Daehoon was crying now, his handsome face ugly with fear and tears. Please, we'll do anything. Alina stood. She looked down at them, these people who'd seemed so powerful, so cruel, now pathetic and small. I don't need your apology. I just needed you to see that you didn't break me. You made me stronger. She turned to Jiwon, extending her hand. He took it, standing beside her. Together, they walked out of the restaurant without looking back. Behind them, Daehoon and Arya remained kneeling, humiliated before everyone who mattered in Seoul's elite society. Victorious. That's how Alina felt. Not because of revenge, but because she'd reclaimed herself. 3 months later, Jiwon's men finally found the lead they'd been chasing for 3 years. The rival syndicate leader who'd ordered Jiyeon's death was meeting with associates in Busan. Jiwon left at dawn, his face carved from stone, vengeance finally within reach. Alina kissed him goodbye. Come back to me. Always, he promised. He returned 2 days later, quieter but lighter, as if a weight he'd carried for years had finally lifted. He didn't speak of what happened, and she didn't ask. Some justice happened in the shadows. That evening, he took her to Ji-yeon's grave. They stood in silence as he placed white lilies on the stone. She would have loved you, he said quietly. I wish I could have met her. She's at peace now, because of you. You gave me a reason to keep living, not just surviving for revenge. Alina squeezed his hand, and together they walked away from the past. 6 months after that, on a private rooftop garden few knew existed, Jiwon and Alina stood beneath a sky turning pink with sunset. Seoul stretched endlessly below them, the city where she'd been broken and remade, where she'd found love in the most unexpected place. Jiwon turned to her, taking both her hands. I spent 3 years believing I was dead inside. That grief had killed every soft part of me. Jiwon. Then you collapsed in front of me, and something shifted. watching you transform pain into power, watching you refuse to let cruelty define you. You taught me that feeling isn't weakness, it's the greatest strength there is. He knelt, pulling a simple platinum band from his pocket. No elaborate diamond, just elegant simplicity. Alina Mensa, you taught me to feel again. Will you marry me? Tears streamed down her face. You taught me my worth. Yes. 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring on her finger, stood, and kissed her as the sun painted the sky in shades of gold. They didn't need revenge anymore. They had each other. Alina now ran a foundation for bullied youth, turning her pain into purpose. Jiwon protected her world with the same fierce loyalty he'd once reserved only for vengeance. As dawn broke the next morning, they stood on their balcony watching the city wake. We endured, Alina said softly. Jiwon pulled her closer, his arms wrapped around her waist, his chin resting on her shoulder. And now we live. The sun rose over Seoul, painting everything in a new light, a promise of all the beautiful tomorrows they'd fought so hard to reach. Together, they'd transformed suffering into strength, betrayal into love, darkness into dawn. And they would never be broken again.